Hi, I'm Sam Sells, and welcome to my podcast, Clean Money. I like to say investing matters, and my show is to talk with everyday folks that are not only creating great success, but making an impact in society and improving the lives of others. That is my mission, and I want to share my stories and others with you. Welcome to Clean Money. Today, we are speaking with Jesse Sells, my brother, about his company, Platinum Property Management, and all the impact work that they do. Hi, Jesse. Welcome to my podcast, Clean Money. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right. So obviously, I know all about you and your life because we grew up together, but tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. So Texas guy, born in Oklahoma with you, red mud baby, right? So grew up lower income. We've talked about this before, but taking baths in horse troughs, playing in creeks, that red dirt out there. College at Baylor, did the military for about 10 years, ended up doing special ops in Florida before joining Wild Mountain or co-creating. I think I came on about 2 months or a month after we started. I don't know.
I would certainly say you're a co-founder because we were hashing out ideas way before we actually started the company.
Absolutely. Yeah, for a long time. So then after that, we kind of found our own roles as we did the company, right? So quickly discovered our strengths, and I think mine was kind of handling the day-to-day operations, the craziness, and during that process of talking to different tenants and seeing how they lived and seeing how other people have run their companies, their properties or investments, kind of realized that a lot of that wasn't beneficial for the tenants. Mm-hmm. So maybe kind of really change how my mind is, how I look at it, and maybe focus on the impact of what we're doing.
Yeah. So I have been continually floored, Jesse, and I'm so proud that you're my brother. I'm so proud of all the work you do. I know I don't tell you that because mostly I just harass you, just like, brothers are supposed to harass each other,
yeah.
But
sometimes for good reasons.
Yeah. I was out at, one of our properties Wednesday this week and, talking to the staff. We've had the property for 4 months. It's in just a dramatic state of change right now. You were not there, but the number of people who came up to me and said, Jesse's changed my life. I feel so much better now. He empowered me to do the job. I heard all these, little stories about you with our staff there and how you treated them and how that was so much different than the past. And it actually captured on a video, so I'm not making that stuff up. I'll share those videos with you so you can see, but we left there, Monica and I left there just incredibly happy with the work that you've done and proud. And it's one thing to get online and talk about stuff. It's a totally different thing to go and do those things, because anyone can call themselves, I care about people, but what do their actions actually say? And your actions definitely say that you're impact focused. So you said you changed how you do things because of what impact you're having on people. Tell us a little bit about what your dream is now and your vision and how, talk a little bit more, if you could, just about how that's changed over the past almost 4 years now that we've been doing this.
Yes, first off, I'm glad those bribes worked out for me. No, but real quick before we go to the dream and vision, I think it's interesting because they talked about, the staff there talked about how it's different than it was before, right? And we hear it all the time, online and the news, that a lot of these people are, eat the rich and landlords suck, whatever,
Yeah.
Landlords are toxic, that they're mostly focused on the bottom line. And I think it's easy to invest and just stare at your bank account, right? And like, mm-hmm. I'm getting for that financial freedom. I'm create that generational wealth. Nothing wrong with that.
Passive income, right? Passive income. I'm not doing nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds great. But the reality is your money has an impact, right? And if you're not paying attention to what it's doing, then it's probably negatively affecting others, especially when you look at property management, running properties. And like I said, I just don't think most people are aware of what they're doing, right? So that kind of segues into the dreamer vision. And I've got a really big, broad vision, dream. It's really kind of to be able to look in the mirror, and whether that's a physical mirror or, you know, the eyes of my loved ones, and know that my time on this earth mattered, right? And I know that's huge and weird, right? To zoom back, right? But honestly, that vision, that dream of mine, take that and scale it way down, right? I care about what I eat. I work out. I care about where my money goes. That's how I run my business. Is what are we doing, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not alone, right? So 44%. I'll give it some numbers here. Sorry, I'm that nerdy guy. 44% of millennials, 49% of Gen Zers make choices of what type of work or where they work based off of their personal values. So I think we're seeing that shift. But just as important for people that are buying properties now, we have to focus on that stuff, because those same people, 45% of millennials, and are renting more than anybody else, right? Those are our renters, followed by 27% of Gen Zers, which is just growing every day.
Yeah.
So it is imperative to look for ways to make your investment matter to them and to make a difference for those tenants. Right?
Yeah, great point.
And that's not going anywhere, right? I mean, you know, this, we talked about before, making investment matters, because the burden of entry to purchasing a home right now is just getting harder. Those same individuals, 55% of those, my last number, I promise, millennials and Gen Zers believe that home ownership is just out of reach. So it's not going to change. So I think
it's just getting worse, right? With the rise in interest rates, prices are starting to cool off, but it really doesn't matter if the prices drop, you know, on a house, $100,000, but it was just as expensive to buy it now as it was before, you know, then, you know, what have we solved at the end of the day, right? And so I saw a report today that, you know, rents in the South are up 16% this year, and they expect to continue to rise, even though interest rates are dampening the rise of prices. So what that means for investors, this is a great time to invest, because cash flow is going to be king and it's going to produce. But the downside is, it's like, if you're just super passive, you just want to throw your money in, get a return, and you don't care what happens, there's a lot of people out there who are going to do that and have a negative impact on renters, and on 55% of the population that's a rent, you know, that's in a rental position, so or higher. So it's just like you said before, we shouldn't abdicate our responsibility of what happens with our money. We invest. We need to take responsibility for that, and we need to care and need to make it matter. So tell me, you know, so the rubber meets the road of property management, right? So you invest in a deal, you walk away. At the end of the day, property management is what makes or breaks a property, right? And ownership involvement. I will say that the owner has to be involved, because we've seen a lot of owner neglect that's just derailed any property manager's you know, intent to do good, but cut their legs off, I guess, beneath them, so they can't stand and left others' lives. So tell me a little bit about, you know, what you're doing as property management, and that dream of vision of just specifically your property management company.
Yeah. So how we're making that impact, I guess, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So good question. So one of our core values for the property management, platinum property management, is dedication, right? And simple way to say that is dedication to ourselves, but also more importantly is dedication to our tenants themselves. So very bare minimum for a property management company is to call the housing authorities local, figure out what charities you work with, right? But a lot of times that's not enough. For example, Miss Jones, which is not her real name, and I won't talk about the property or anything, but a few months ago she had stomach and lung cancer. She was a breadwinner for the family, and she wasn't able to, she lost her job, right? She just, from getting treatments and being sick, and just wasn't able to go to work. So the late stages of her life when she should be focusing on family, setting affairs straight. All of a sudden she has to worry about rent. She has to worry about food, which is not fair. And this general location, it takes a while for housing to kick in, right? You have to apply, go through the processes, which doesn't do her any help, right? So dedication for me, for our tenants, is doing that next step. So the housing authority says, we don't know, right? So what do we do? So it's actually I think it was a tertiary, or maybe 4 steps down the line of calling this person and this person, this person, this person. We're actually able to find a charity that specializes in cancer, right? And they were able to be that stopgap measure to provide her food, to provide her housing a while till housing could kick in for her, because so she didn't have to worry about that. That's dedication. That's how I see this, right? And that's just for our tenants. And then if you zoom out on the actual community, we have larger impacts that people don't think about. One of our properties, we have 4% of a school district. It's made up at our apartment complex. This is in Fort Worth ISD. I won't talk about the individual school, but they're younger kids. So when we purchased this property, but it's the same one you walked the other day, there was a lot of people just coming and going. It was a few years ago, it was a second chance. So there was high crime at one point. It wasn't safe for people people didn't feel safe. You didn't have kids playing outside, right?
Right.
So as soon as parents, of course, are able to, they're going to move, right? Well, that has secondary effects of, teachers are rated on their students, right? If their students are leaving all the time, all of a sudden their teachers' ratings are going to go down. They're not going to stay. So now we get worse quality teachers. Now the whole school district potentially has their education level is just going down, right? So as you saw, we've spent a ton of time there getting rid of the bad people, making sure we have a community, setting up community events so people feel wanted, setting up after school programs, because that's proven, right? That's absolutely proven that high quality school programs are proven to shorten and long-term academic and behavioral benefits, right? And that includes limiting crime. So now we're helping the school district out. That actual school program helps out with literacy rates, is one of the big things they help out with. We're helping take care of people's kids, because a lot of times, especially as lower income places, they just can't be home when their kids, they don't have anybody home when the kids get off of school. And also we're stopping people roving around and doing dumb stuff as kids do. As you and I both know, right?
Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah, we never did anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think it has massive benefits to be dedicated to your tenants and then look for ways to make an impact.
Wow, there's a lot there that you just said. The reason that we transferred from or wanting to use third-party property management companies to building our own, Jesse, was because of what you just said. All of those different things, right? The dedication to go beyond just seeing a tenant as a, either they're paying on time or they're not. Next, are you paying on time or are you not? Next, you're not paying on time, you're out, right? Or going the next step where they will just, okay, you're a voucher, I have to take you, so I'm going to deal with the city, and we're tired of that working, so now we're not going to renew your lease and you're going to have to go somewhere else. Or most properties don't even take vouchers at all, right? They just won't do it. And voucher system is not easy, and it's not smooth. It's a US government program or a local government program, and it's painful on the property management side. Is it guaranteed rents? No, because they have to qualify, and we could go on that for a while. But you said a ton of things there. You wanted to start property management, platinum property management, because of your desire to have an impact. And I love how you said it affects education, it affects behavior, and then just in the bigger grand scheme, that's health security, mental health, physical health, behavioral health. We talk about financial security. Education leads to financial security, period, right? Whether or not you agree with the college system or America's education system, it's hard to argue that not being educated is just as good as being educated. I don't think anyone can argue that. And you certainly can't get into commercial real estate without educating yourself and on the process, right? There's math, there's science, there's social science and behavior science. We could go into all these different things, and all the numbers that you just quoted, that was all education, things that you sought out on your own. You can't go to school for those things. But it was all driven by your personal desire to make a difference in the world. And so this is how you're doing it. And it's huge. How many residents do we have, or how many residents do you manage?
Oh, yeah. We're over 1,000 now, right?
Just on doors. So how many people?
Just on doors. Yeah. So, I don't even know. Honestly, it's a lot of families. There's a lot of people. Yeah. So that's, say, easily 3,000 people.
Yeah. Easily 2,000 to 3,000 people. And then you think about the lives that they impact and they connect with, and so forth. So let's take this, because I know there's people out there who are thinking, all right, so you guys are a bunch of, heartfelt dudes who wear your hearts on your sleeves, and, you don't care about finances, and I'm not going to make very much money on this deal. So tell us a little bit about.
So I disagree real
Yeah.
quick, because yeah, right. Sometimes it does take more man hours to find these things, right? But and also, if you create a community where people want to live in, that they feel safe in, they're not leaving, right? You're not going to get that loss of lease. You find ways to find charities or whatever else to get people to pay their rent. Well, that's one less eviction, which is, you lose a unit for, right now, the court system, 3 months, 2 months, depending on where you're at. This is good for the property. This is good for investing. It's good for the community. It's a win-win. It just takes more man hours. It takes more dedication to get it done.
Absolutely. So like you said, there's so much more here than just doing this because we love people and we want to do good. It's really, has a huge impact even on the bottom line. So if you're just a ones and zeros type of person and humans don't really matter to you, financially speaking, it's losing people to lease is an issue. Evictions are painful, right? Not just emotionally painful and wear you down as a staff, but they're painful to the people getting evicted. Why not have paying residents? And if we could spend an extra couple hours to get somebody paid for, that's way less expensive than having all the anger and the hate and them damaging the units, as evicting them out, and all that process and it going on their records, and now they can't rent someplace else, and so forth and so on. I think, at the end of the day, you can make money. And this is what this is all about. Clean Money Podcast is all about the fact that you can make money doing good. And you just articulated it really well, right? At the end of the day, the sense of community is one of, can you tell me the figure? It's like one of the top reasons people stay in an apartment complex, right? It has a significant impact on the loss that you face as a property owner from somebody leaving and a new person coming, right?
So yeah, if you provide a clean, safe place where there's a good community where you enjoy living there, you're going to stay.
You're going to stay. And just anecdotally, being in the leasing office on Wednesday, I've been there when we were buying the property. And I remember the first time I came there, we saw people stealing stuff out of the back, railroad ties. We saw a guy using the parking lot to sell food and whatever, which is fine, I guess.
But there's grease and everything else.
Yeah, dumping grease and grease fires, and there's some issues there. Yeah, safety. Anyway, so and then there's we saw a drug deal going on. Got watch outs on the corner whistling, and then people turning around and doing their thing. There was 6 active sewage leaks on the property. SWAT team was there the day we closed. As you know, and you called me like, hey Sam, the SWAT team's here. I'm like, whoa.
Day one.
This is day one. This is why we're here, right? But being there and people were like ringing off the hooks. No, yep, we have one unit available. Okay, nope, no, we're not have any more units available. We'll have units available then. People coming in like, hey, when are the washer dryers going to be here? Oh, they're coming soon. When's the pool going to open? I mean, it was just like people were just coming and coming and coming inside that place. It was clean. There wasn't trash anywhere on that property, and it was
people get excited.
People get excited.
They
It
feel
was
the difference.
exciting.
Yeah.
4 months in, people are still excited.
Yeah.
Things are getting painted. I mean, it was just like, oh my goodness, this is cool. I just sat there and just reflected back on the hours that I sat in there and they didn't know who I was, and just watching tenants come in and they were, can I get a unit? They're like, no, we don't have anything. And I mean, there was just no support, no love to people coming in, walking off the street. Residents were coming and dumping their checks and leaving. Nobody was saying anything to each other, just completely different. And I like to think it's like an eternal law that if you do what's right, and you follow those rules of success, then prosperity happens. And that place is becoming prosperous, and it will be prosperous, and it'll generate a beautiful return to our investors. We're already way over our targets. And they're super happy, as you know. And that's it with an institutional partner on that particular deal. But yeah, so
love to see it. Yeah.
So tell me, so we've talked about all the things you're doing that are really making a difference. Tell me about some of the mistakes you've made and how you overcame them.
Yeah. So ton. Yeah, so, I mean, the biggest one and the simplest thing is just not doing this sooner. It's ignorance, right? It's not knowing what I don't know. And so I'm a big book reader, right? I love business books, Rich Dad Poor Dad, Rich Man Babylon, influence people, right?
Yeah.
To influence people. Read as much as I can, right? There isn't a book or blueprint to show you, at least that I know of, to show you how to do this, right? How to make an impact, who to reach out to, who to call, how to find this, right? It just takes time. And so it's been a learning curve for me to just, all right, well, maybe if I talk to this person or reach out to this councilman, or, it's making those connections to find that right person, right? For Ms. Jones, like I talked about before, it was, actually it was a school district, to the after school program, to the charity foundation, then to the actual cancer foundation. Right. So it's just knowing the right steps to make an impact.
Yeah.
So I think that's my biggest mistake, is just being ignorant and, being okay with it, or if no one else does this, so it's a little weird. So then figuring out like, no, that we can do more, and let's dig in and find it. Let's figure it out.
Yeah. I think, one, we need to write that book so we can help other people not make all the mistakes we made. Right.
Yep.
And so stay tuned for a clean money book coming out, and us just kind of going through some of those steps. Because look, we've been doing this for 4 years, which is not a lot of time in the grand scheme of things, but how many third-party property management companies have you talked to who do what your company does?
Not to our level at all. None.
Right. And how many employees do you have now?
Sitting over almost 50 now, right?
Almost 50. Yeah. I hear people say, oh, you self-manage, that's not good. I'm like, there's 50 people on that property management staff. So I don't know if you could say self-manage is the right thing. It's like we buy properties from people who self-manage because they get so frustrated with third-party managers. And I know you will be a third-party manager for other people, and you guys are happy to take over a property. I think your superpower is taking on very difficult projects and overcome them, because I've handed you some incredibly difficult jobs and you've gone in there and done it. And we've learned a ton in the process. I think we tried to make every mistake possible in the beginning.
Yep. That's my superpower, just making every mistake and figuring it out.
Yeah.
As long as it only happens once, right?
Yeah, but well, they say repetition's the best teacher, right?
Yep.
So I just think like, okay, so Elon Musk wasn't the first person to invent an electric car, right? He didn't invent the electric car. He didn't invent the electric engine. All he did was other people had done it, didn't really like it, and he went and figured out how to make it sustainable and a way where people would want those vehicles, right? How to make money off of it and make a huge impact. And not to compare him with us, but I think about as property manager company, everyone's doing it one way because there's a textbook that says rents in, rents out, put a theater on your lawn and people will stay there and feel like they're in a better community. That way lots of rent will go over. And so they're looking for these specific things that they can do. They're not looking for all this stuff that's actually difficult and requires effort, dedication, time. And maybe they just don't know what they don't know and they don't realize the difference. But what you've done is you've gone into a system that has been doing it one way for the past 100 years of apartment living or 200 years of apartment living, and you just spun it on its head and you're doing it completely different. Right.
Absolutely. Yeah,
And
this
that's
is one of the oldest careers, right? But
yeah,
people own property forever. You got to manage them.
you got to
But
manage
things
it.
have changed in the last 10 years in property management world. It's kind of wild. That's another thing we're looking at is innovations on the core value that just, why are we doing this? Doesn't make sense anymore. How can we do it better? Right.
Yeah, absolutely. So you guys are innovating on the margin and you've spun away from the traditional property management system. And so I would encourage if anyone who's listening is a property manager to reach out to Jesse, and we'll talk about how to connect with you here soon. But I know that you can mentor and help, and I know you love doing that, helping other people learn how to, change course and make a difference. And there's a profitability aspect of this that is compelling, to say the least. There's also, more importantly, there's a human element of this that is incredibly compelling. The rising generation wants this. The past generation should have wanted it, but they were so ingrained into them that they couldn't buck the system, that had been handed down to them. And so they allowed us the freedom to maneuver and think far more independently. So now we're bucking the system and doing things different. And it's not at a loss of income or profitability. It in fact, increases income and profitability in a clean way, right? All right. So what are you doing to improve your future? You just talked about innovation. What are you doing to ensure the future is a better place?
Yeah, I just have something simple here, really. It's just that ensuring that those investments matter, right? And that's kind of what we've been talking about. All this builds up to is, does your investment matter or not? Whether it's your time, your money, your property you're purchasing, make sure it matters. Make sure you're making a difference everywhere. So that's really big for me. And I make sure everywhere my money is going is clean money, is in a clean way, right? It's going to the right place. Not just making some fat cat richer who's just taking advantage of the people, right?
Yeah. And they're out there, right? What happened? Somebody walked into one of our properties this week, and I got a little bit of background on them, but they're new money. Their parents made it rich in California. Kids are now walking around, throwing around their big britches, I guess, and they walked into apartment complex. And what happened? You want to say that for a second?
Oh yeah. Talking about the one that just showed up and said, "Hey, we're buying this place. They're selling this place." And property manager had no idea they're even showing up or what was going on, and they're just that person was a little creepy and ended up slipping my manager $100 bill before he left.
No, I did not know that.
So those are people you don't want to get richer, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And these are the people that we don't want to sell our properties to, right?
No, yeah.
Because we care about our residents and we've improved the property, and we know sometimes it's time for that property to move on to a new owner. But
Yeah,
this isn't This, we can't make it up. We had same thing happen to one of our other properties. Somebody walked in and said, I'm buying this property, the owners are terrible and blah, 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 blah. And we had to kick them out the property. It was like, hey, they approached us and said, hey, would you guys be interested in selling? And we're like, I don't know, take a look at it and, give me a price and we'll think about it. And then they walked in and,
Other people.
well, sorry for the long sigh. They're out there. We're happy to buy properties from folks like that. We just really don't care. And like some properties we buy, they're older, or they just got in over their heads, or time has moved on and they were once doing great and it just got away from them. Their focus was on other things, whatever those other things were. So not all property owners obviously are bad, like you mentioned in the very beginning. But I remember as a kid thinking like, people who are rich are bad, or look down their nose at us. And
yeah, absolutely. They're just focused on the bank account, or that's passive, right? They don't have to worry about that property, right? Meanwhile, I've had rental where I couldn't use the bathroom for a week because the toilet broke and couldn't be bothered to come fix it, right?
Yeah, could be bothered. Yeah.
So
yeah,
it does have an impact. It has an effect what you do with your money.
Absolutely. Okay. So we'll wrap up here. Last question. Tell me something wild about yourself that few people know. Because this is Wild Mountain. I mean, we we chose that name because we're a little crazy, and it's about forging a path through, that's different than everyone else's. So,
okay, something a little different about myself is I actually in the military was able to take classes to learn Arabic about 10 hours a day for about 8 months straight by a very strict is a nice word. Iraqi woman was an instructor. So I spent a good portion of my life getting browbeaten to learn Arabic. And the only real time I used it was in Morocco when some guy was trying to throw a snake on my neck to get me to pay him to take it off. And I was trying to tell him some basic stuff. Wait. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. I know somebody told me the other day, they're like, Sam, you got to write a book about your guys' growing up in your life, because your guys' experience is just so, foreign to so many people, And she said, I grew up with my sister and we played with dolls growing up, and, wanted to go to Hollywood, and she did. I'm like, well, our lives were crazy, and then we're still, I don't know about crazy. We just, we don't have those mental limitations that we can't do things, right?
Yeah.
It's just not there for whatever reason, better or for worse.
Yep. Definitely.
Awesome. Well, any last words?
Nope. Yeah. Thanks for having me, Sam. I'm excited. We've been doing this for 4 years, but I think I'm really excited for the future, and let's keep doing this. Let's make sure our investment matters.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Jesse, for joining the call. I know we talk every single day of our lives, which is one of the great pleasures of working together. And I really enjoy speaking to you. And wow, man, I mean, hearing all of the incredible stuff you're doing, seeing it in real life. I wish the audience could do that. We're trying to show more videos and other things so that other people can see what's happening. But if people do want to reach out to you and learn more about impact investing, or about how to manage in an impactful way that really matters, and how to lead an organization that does that, how can they reach you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, send me an email at Jesse. That's JESSE at platinum-mgmt.com. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. But yeah, love to hear any questions, anything else about how we do it, or who I call, or anything else to set these things up.
Yeah, awesome. And they can find you at Jesse Sells on LinkedIn. Is that correct? Also,
correct. Yep.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you again for joining the call. Yeah, let's go make our investing matter.
Yep.
Thanks, Jesse. Thank you for tuning in to Clean Money, where we talk about sustainable investing that improves society. We are passionate about creating great investment returns to investors who want to use their money to make a positive social impact in the world. If you enjoyed the episode, we'd appreciate a 5-star review. And if you are interested in making your investing matter, please connect with us at wildmountaincapital.com, or you can find me, Samuel Sells, on LinkedIn, on Twitter at Sells_Samuel, on Instagram at Clean Money Sam, or on Facebook. And finally, make your investing matter.